So I've got my daughter now agreeing to stay for 1 month. So I've got to create a life that she really, really loves where she's at versus leaving. If I can create something that she loved more, she will always choose what she loves. So I knew she was really into horses. And so I asked the women's shelter, okay, who's in this area? Because it's a horse community. Who's in this area that would help me out with my daughter with some horses? And they were like, oh, we can't help you out with that. You got to do that on your own. And it's like, well, you're there to help me with as much information as possible. Yet, anytime I wanted help, they'd always say, no, that's up to you to do. So, find no help from them. I get on the phone and start phoning every place, trying to find somebody that my daughter can work with horses free. And found this one guy, and I explained this story that she was really having a really rough time, and if she was around horses, she would do really good. And this guy's like, I love working with troubled kids, and he said it would be my honor to help your daughter out. So right away, the women's shelter's trying to get me to hate this guy. As soon as somebody showed up that wanted to help my daughter and they're male, then we need to hate them. And they would not stop. They were like constantly, do not let your daughter be anywhere near this man. This man is evil. He's a pedophile. I mean, they came up with so many horrible things about this guy that they didn't even know. But because there was a male figure that wanted to do something nice in their community, these guys thought that this was something really bad. Only pedophiles act like that. Nice people don't offer help to other people. And it's like, is that ever messed up? These guys have such a hate on men that they see all men as being really bad. And because I'm in this high stress, um, I was heavily influenced. They got me to question, well, maybe I'm just setting my daughter up. Maybe I am. So the only thing I did was, okay, I'm just going to be more aware. I'm going to be, make sure that my daughter's safe at all times while she's with this guy working with this horse. And the first day that I go to this guy, um, my daughter first is an extremely picky eater. She will not eat anything. And the worst possible thing you can feed her is pea soup. And what does this guy do when we go and meet him for the first time? He invites us in for lunch, and what does he serve? Pea soup. And my daughter ate all of it. And right then it was like, oh my God, this guy can manipulate my daughter into doing anything. Sorry for the smoking, but this is a hard video to write. So I'm seeing this guy able to make my daughter do just about anything, even things that she is totally in disagreement with. She will now do it for this man. So I'm kind of like, oh, wow, I got to really watch this. These people are saying he's really evil. He seems like a really, really nice guy. And now my daughter is able to eat pea soup because she wants to impress this guy because he's letting her work around horses for free. So um, it was a very interesting relationship. And as it turns out, this guy was amazing. Purely amazing. He was not the evil guy these women's shelters wanted to make him out to be. He made my daughter work her freaking ass off. She had to shovel shit for, I think, it was close to 2 months. 6 to 8 weeks she was shoveling shit. Never could touch, well, she was petting horses, but she couldn't ride any horses. The only thing she was going there every day was to shovel shit. And this guy wanted her to prove herself, that if you really want something, you have to work hard for it, which I was in agreement with. She was loving it. She was so proud of the work she was doing. She no longer wanted to go back to Ontario. And he ended up having this horse. His lineage was Secretariat. And uh, if anybody doesn't know who Secretariat is, there's a good movie out there. But anyways, this horse's lineage was Secretariat, and it hadn't been broken yet. And his name was Mouse. So my daughter latched onto this horse. This was what this guy had intended, is that if she proves herself, then he's going to teach her how to break this horse. And I think it only took 3 months and she was able to ride it. Um, really, really strong connection with that horse. And the self-esteem, the boundaries, the lessons that she needed to learn in life, she learned through breaking a horse. So it was the best therapeutic thing that I could ever do for my daughter. Yet the world hated me for it, except for my daughter. But I was able to um, help heal a lot of damage that my daughter had experienced, not through discipline when she did things wrong, but by giving her what it is she wanted the most. It was like, she's a horse whisperer, so she's showing me what I need to do with her. She's reading the horses and saying, you know, try and be at one with the horse, find out what the horse wants. And when you can read what the horse wants, you can get him to do whatever you want him to do, because he'll want to do whatever you want to do if you let him do it his way. And that's basically the same thing with raising a kid. It's like, get yourself on their page, find out what their purpose is, build them up in their direction, and they'll never ever go wrong. So there we have some examples that women's shelters are they appear to encourage you to hate, not to heal yourself, not to get yourself in a better place, not to get yourself to see how you are attracting and creating abuse. Um, it's all about teaching them how to be so hateful you are the abuser. That is the truth that they don't want to know. They can't even face that pill, that all workers, all volunteers at these women's shelters have such a hate for men that that's all they do is manipulate women that are, obviously creating their own abuse. They're not being taught that they're creating their own abuse, and the abuse escalates because they're told to hate their supposed abusers. Now, you can't see how you are the abuser when you are the victim of. And um, I can go down a list of, well, my ex did not pay any child support. So who was right, me or him? In the bigness of our world, what is the end result so we can tell who was more right and who was more wrong? Well, my ex never paid a dime of child support. So I would say he would be more the deadbeat. Um, and he actually had court orders where I owed him money for the children that live in my house. He's been paid child support for children that never lived in his house. So who was the one that was guilty, me or him? He consistently always kicked my daughter out, never went for custody, um, never fought for any form of custody. He went in and just got orders that his child lived with him, but as soon as he got any kind of order, he kicked the kids out. So he never really was interested in having the kids live with him, because I had no objection of where the kids live. I was actually, when I moved to Ontario, that was more my goal. Is I think that if I took myself out of the equation, then the disputes, that's where I was at, is that if my kids didn't even have me in their life, then at least this bickering back and forth would stop. And then at the same time, I didn't want to abandon my kids. At the last minute, I didn't want to abandon my kids, so I left them all the option that I couldn't be around that atmosphere anymore, that I was at my lowest breaking point. And if they did want to live with me, that they were welcome to come with me, but that I could not participate in this, that someplace it needed to be broken, that either you're in my life or you're in his life, but being in both is not working. And there was no help, no counseling anywhere to try and make sure that the problems between the parents could be worked out. They more or less forced the situation that the kids had to live with one and completely be against the other. And that is the abuse. What I did was dead wrong. And at the time, I didn't believe I had any options. There was no help available, and I looked everywhere for help, but nobody could comprehend the problem. Which is why I feel if somebody could see this picture, somebody could see abuse is wrong, what does it take to end abuse, then I feel like I have the obligation to speak up and share the experiences I have. And it is a hard pill to swallow. And that is basically, any woman that walks into a women's shelter, you're both say, why did you attract that abuse? What are you doing in your life that is attracting this abuse? You have to take responsibility for your actions. What it is you put out there is karma and is going to come back at you. But we don't make victims responsible or accountable for their actions. And we don't make criminals or, the abusers. No matter which side of the coin, both are abusive. So my ex being not paying his child support or not being responsible or accountable, there's nothing making him responsible or accountable for the children that he's put on this planet. And there's nothing that was making me responsible for the abuse and how I was creating him not to want to pay any child support. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm only coming from a source of love. I'm only coming from a source where I don't see evil in either side of this. I don't see this mother being evil, and I don't see this father being evil. Do I see both of them being abusive to their child? Yes, both equally are just as abusive. And none of them know that they are. It's the most insulting thing. There go the cigarette, because I don't want to tell a victim because I was a victim. That is the hardest thing, is to tell a victim that they are responsible for their own abuse, because you won't get it. You're in the most painful experience, and while in that most painful experience, when somebody tells you the truth, that's the last time you want to hear it. You do not want to hear that you are responsible or accountable for the experiences you have in your life. It drives me to smoke. I'd rather be dead than to say that, because I know as soon as I say something like that, the amount of hate that's going to come out at me is going to be extreme. And clearly I will own my responsibility that clearly I don't know how to communicate this. Clearly I'm offending people by the way I communicate this. And that's why I've been saying throughout my whole channel, this whole thing is about me learning how to communicate a pill that we don't want to swallow, to hear the tough shit. How is it that we do that? How do we find out truth without being offended? And it is like Jesus coming down and telling you the truth, and then you kill him. And then you're going to say, oh, he died for our sins. No, he died because of your sins. If I die, it's not going to be in allowance for everybody to continue doing what it is they're doing. It's no, I will be dying because of how you want to kill me. You want to kill me by making this conversation tough? It will kill me. I'll continue.